One. All right, fellas, could y'all introduce yourselves?
I'm
Hello,
Connor
my name is
Cisco.
Samuel Allen Johnson.
My name's Noah Perkins.
I'm Connor Bone.
I'm Jace Thomas.
How old are you guys, by the way?
I am 11 or 7, 18.
I'm 17.
I'm 17.
I'm 18, like younger.
Word.
I'm 17.
I'm Skylar Wilkerson. I'm 18.
Oh,
All
Skylar.
right.
Oh.
All throughout music, there are a number of kings and queens of genres, but have you ever heard of the Prince of Indie Rock? The purpose of this speech is to inform you about who Mac DeMarco is and the impact he has had on music. So Mac DeMarco is not only a famous musician, but his creativity and personality have really changed and challenged modern music as a whole. You might be asking yourself, what do I know about this famous brother? Does he even know who I am? Like, do we have some personal relationship or something? But it's nothing like that. I've always studied music. I've always loved it. It's been a huge part of my life for as long as I can remember. And in the past few weeks, I've done extensive research on Mac DeMarco in particular. So, a brief preview of all my key ideas. We're going to begin with Mac's early life, then his projects, then his creative process, and then the overall influence of Mac DeMarco. So, to kick off my presentation, let me begin with the first key idea. Key idea one is Mac's early life. So, some general information on the brother. He was born Werner Winfield McBriar Smith IV on April 30th, 1990. So, he's in his mid 30s now. He's got kind of a long-winded name. And he's originally from Duncan, British Columbia, which is a Canadian province. This was found on allmusic.com. His early works, he was originally going under the name Makeout Videotape, which is kind of a freaky, kind of cool name. I like it personally.
Yeah.
And his first project was released in 2008, and it's entitled Heat Wave. He released it under the moniker Makeout Videotape, and it came out right after he graduated high school. So this info was also found on allmusic.com. To summarize, Mac DeMarco, Canadian musician, originally released music under the name Makeout Videotape. Next, let's move on to the second key idea. So my second key idea is Mac's projects. In order from when they were released, we have the Rock and Roll Nightclub, his first project, 2, which was his breakout album, then Salad Days, another one, some other ones, which was a collection of demos and instrumentals.
Yeah.
This Old Dog demos, Here Comes the Cowboy, Five Easy Hot Dogs, and his most recent 9-hour project, which was a bunch of random instrumentals and unreleased music and demos and other things. One Wayne G. This
Yeah.
info came from allmusic.com and the New York Times. To summarize, Mac DeMarco has had 10 full-length studio albums, which consist of finished songs, demos, and many, many instrumentals. Next, we can move on to the third key idea. Key idea three is Mac's creative process. So Mac tends to stray away from typical pop and chord progressions. And really this creative process is what drove me to give this speech in the first place. It's something I've always found interesting. He uses a ton of diatonic and diminished chords, which to not a non-music head, it doesn't really mean anything, but those are things that are just not common in music theory or practice or anything of that sort. He uses chords outside of scales, and often his chord progressions end on tension or notes that aren't supposed to work. It creates this feeling of unease, and it really draws in the question or the overall purpose of his song. Also, his recording style. He doesn't use any modern instruments. He uses many analog and tape machines. None of his stuff is done digitally. He tries to use anything but a DAW, which is what all modern musicians use. It gives him this distinct retro and dry sound. All of this information was found on Reverb Machine. Next, let me tell you about the fourth and final key idea. So, key idea four is the influence of Mac DeMarco. Mac's differing ideals have impacted countless musicians, and this isn't just like a broad generalization. You can see it in how many people try to replicate his sound, how many people try to act like him, dress like him, how many people even just say that they're inspired by him. He's a very DIY person who strays away from anything modern. I think that's super impressive in this day and age. Anything like label wise, anything production or collaboration wise, he does it all himself. He tries to put out the message that he can just do it. Like you can just figure things out, and I think that's really poetic and beautiful. He is himself in all of his works, which is more important. I mean, that can apply to anybody in any walk of life. It doesn't even necessarily need to be a musician. And this information came from allmusic.com. Mac DeMarco also has just released many iconic songs, some of which we have My Kind of Woman, Chamber of Reflection for the first time, a very slow, very lovely song, and Freaking Out the Neighborhood, which is about an incident I can make no mention of. So, to conclude, the purpose of this speech was to inform you guys about Mac DeMarco and the impact he has had. To summarize all the key ideas, we had Mac's early life. He has a super long, weird name, and he's from Canada. He originally released music under the name Makeout Videotape. He has 10 studio, not even studio, but just 10 albums in general. They could have been produced at home, whatever. His creative process is very interesting. It's what led me to want to give this speech. And the influence of Mac DeMarco really can't be understated. He's done so much for this generation, and he continues to do a lot. I hope you all learned a little bit about what makes Mac
I
DeMarco
learned
who
a
he
lot.
is, and maybe even how some of your favorite songs came to be. I'm going to leave you guys with a quote from Mac. As he would say, I'm just a guy. Musicians are people just like you guys. Dream big and dream hard. Thank you for listening to my speech.
It's actually really, really good. I even glazing. It's pretty good.
No one.
Quit throwing balls.